Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now head of the HHS, or Health and Human Services Agency. He will now be responsible for and oversee 13 divisions and agencies, which include the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, and the National Institutes of Health. Now, as he takes over this crucial role, expect a flurry of actions, much like what we have seen from Doge and Donald Trump. So let's talk about day one priorities. There's going to be a lot of restructuring and staffing changes now that Kennedy is in charge. He is expected to begin implementing large-scale changes specifically to HHS's structure right out the gate. He's already talked about the need to dismiss or fire perhaps up to 600 NIH researchers and shift resources away from infectious diseases to focus on the underlying causes of chronic illnesses. This, by the way, is aligning with the broader Doge initiative, which aims to downsize federal agencies through furloughs and layoffs. Now, some of the things we can expect to see, and this should be unsurprising, will be the nutrition and food policies from Kennedy, who has emphasized the need to dramatically improve nutrition as a key part of his Make America Healthy Again agenda. In all likelihood, we should expect proposals to changes within the FDA right away, as oversight of ultra-processed food and school lunch programs will be definitely part of RFK Jr.'s policy plan. Now, Dr. Aseem Malhotra, a British cardiologist, is being considered for a key advisory role with RFK's staff, and he has shared insights into what the team's priorities might look like starting day one. The MAHA team, according to Dr. Aseem, plans to tackle what they perceive as the root causes of many of the health issues that people in America are facing. This includes cancer, obesity, and mental health issues. The strategy will involve banning food additives and dyes linked to health risks, which are already prohibited in Europe for this very same reason. There is a good likelihood that they will implement a sugar tax on unhealthy snacks, and they want to restrict the sale of high-calorie items in schools and hospitals. The MAHA team also believes that addressing diet-related issues could have the most significant and rapid impact on public health. They are arguing that dietary changes alone could dramatically improve people's health within weeks or months. As of right now, nearly 75% of the U.S. food supply is ultra-processed. 40% of Americans are obese, which is up from 15% back in 1980, which is horrendously bad. 90% of U.S. adults also have high blood pressure, poor cholesterol levels, or excess belly fat. And so what the RFK team wants to do is overhaul the U.S. dietary guidelines. They want to mandate nutrition education for doctors. They want to introduce mandatory nutrition and culinary skills classes in schools to help children understand food, which is probably not a bad idea. And they also want to subsidize farmers to lower the cost of vegetables and whole foods, making it a lot cheaper to eat healthy. Next up, there's going to be pharmaceutical industry oversight, which is about damn time. This is a primary objective to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. They want to reduce the influence of the pharmaceutical industry on health recommendations and drug approvals. Dr. Malhotra also emphasized that the MAHA team will want to address commercial influence in healthcare, which, thank God, that has been a serious problem here in the U.S. I mean, in the European Union, direct advertising from pharmaceutical companies to consumers is prohibited. That kind of stuff is not allowed. There's heavy controls on how pharmaceutical companies can advertise in the EU. Now, the Make America Healthy team also believes that many health problems stem from poor dietary and lifestyle choices, as well as a healthcare system that prioritizes profits over people's well-being. And so there are a couple of potential policy actions being considered by the MAHA team. First on the chopping block would be a gradual reduction of junk food consumption, especially among children through increased regulation. They want to focus on reducing sugar and ultra-processed food intake. There are also ideas being bandied about maybe possibly implementing a food-related tax and bans in specific locations. Now, while critics are arguing that this approach may oversimplify complex health issues, Dr. Malhotra and the Make America Healthy team stand firm in their convictions that these measures are necessary to improve America's overall health. Now, look, maybe that's not everything that'll solve the problem, but people not being morbidly obese, being ridiculously overweight and fat, well, that will definitely help reduce how many comorbidities that people have, which means people will be healthier overall. So why not do that as well as other things to address the healthcare crisis in America? And you know what? Now that RFK Jr., his confirmation is a done deal, no matter what the critics say, RFK And the MAHA team will now have the power to actually begin enforcing this brave new world on the US. But it doesn't just stop there. Another cornerstone of the MAHA plan is to reduce pharmaceutical industry influence in general. The MAHA Commission is aiming to increase transparency in health-related decisions and research. They want to mandate open data for all federally funded health research, which is maddening to me that that's not already in place. They want to implement independent evaluation of drug studies without pharmaceutical influence, which seems like a no-duh, why aren't we doing that now? There's also proposals to change the FDA funding to reduce potential conflicts of interest, which again, why would we not have already done that? Now, moving along to vaccine policy for RFK, which a lot of people have concerns about and want to know about. Now, while maintaining that childhood vaccines are safe, because that's the thing you have to say, Dr. Malhotra is suggesting that they might potentially remove vaccine mandates for school attendance. They want to focus on rebuilding trust in the medical establishment system. And one of the ways you're going to do that is get rid of the weird mandates that the government forced on people. There's a reason why the public has lost faith in the healthcare system and in the FDA and other establishments within the government. They lied a lot during the pandemic, so people don't really believe them. And from what I can tell, as part of this, they want to reinvestigate potential links between vaccines and certain disorders. So expect new news coming from that in the future. And then the next step is going to be the healthcare program reform. So while specific details on Medicare and Medicaid reforms have not yet been provided in anywhere that I can find, Dr. Malhotra and the Trump administration has indicated that they have a commitment to protecting Medicare, but there will be potential reorganizations for individuals eligible for both Medicare and Medicaid. You can expect to also see changes to vaccine coverage under Medicare in the future. So to kind of wrap this all up in a nice bow, the MAHA initiative is representing a massive shift in how we approach public health in this country. It's all about focusing on dietary changes. It's all about reducing pharmaceutical industry influence. They want to reevaluate current health policies. And let's be honest, critics are complaining about these changes and worrying about what might be. But considering just how sick, how fat, how morbidly obese our country has become, out of shape in general, I think it stands to reason that we should consider throwing the entire system out and starting from scratch. Clearly, what we've been doing has not been working, but any kind of major changes like this would likely face significant challenges and require substantial legislative support. But that problem might take care of itself. You see, the Trump train is barreling through Washington. It's crushing the media, and the public is fully aware of what is happening. And the more that this continues, the greater the speed and momentum President Trump will gain. And the Democrat Party, they know this. So does the media. And not only do they know this, but they are now openly discussing it. There is panic that they have no way to actually stop what is happening now with Trump and his team and his agenda. This is an article from Axios discussing this. This is an article by Mike Allen and Mark Caputo. They write, Trump's split screen orchestration amid chaos. As President Trump nears his term's 1 month mark next week, can you believe it has only been 1 month? A White House advisor is keeping a calendar tracking daily wins, losses, and jump balls, and they're loving the results so far. Why it matters, Axios writes. Insiders tell us Trump, who came into office feeling jubilant and empowered, is getting more confident, fueled by his expected clean sweep of cabinet confirmations, plus a CBS poll showing 53% approval amid his aggressive flood the zone opening actions. The midterm map has gotten more favorable for the GOP, with the retirement announcements by Senator Tina Smith and Senator Gary Peters a week into Trump's term. 2 more hot battleground seats for Democrats to defend in an already tough cycle. And I'll add this because they didn't say it. Those people are retiring because their chances of re-election are slim to none. Now, privately, Axios writes, there's an undercurrent of worry in Trump world. And is there, though? That political gravity could weigh him down, especially if inflation rises. No, this is what the media is hoping for. They're trying to put this into the ether, hoping that this will become a conversation point. In fact, that's actually the latest hit here, is they're trying to move away from Hitler, Trump, Doge, dictator, to, well, inflation's going to doom us all. But so far, it's not sticking. And now they want to talk about the looming debt ceiling and government funding, etc. But they write, for now, it's foot on gas. White House Communications Director Stephen Chung posted a photo of 8 news channels simultaneously showing this week's Oval Office colloquy by Trump and Elon Musk and labeled it full spectrum dominance. Trump is reborn, a confidant who spoke with Trump by phone told Caputo. Normally, a big part of the conversation is the Russia hoax and stuff like that, the confidant said. It's gone. Now it is. Did you see the CBS poll? Or it's the person is saying nice things about me. He totally feels vindicated. The Russia hoax. I mean, that's old news. What are they talking about? Anyway, they go on to write, the camera has captured it all. This is Trump, the producer. Now, off-screen, Axios writes, it's much messier, sometimes intended, sometimes not, as Trump and Elon Musk race to reshape Washington and reset American foreign policy. 6 senior Justice Department officials, including Manhattan's top federal prosecutor, resigned Thursday, rather than comply with the Justice Department order to dismiss corruption charges against New York Mayor Eric Adams. And by the way, that's precisely what the Trump team wanted to happen. Rather than having to fire these people, they retire themselves. As layoffs, they continue, swept the bureaucracy, thousands of workers were laid off in messages delivered through pre-recorded videos and on group calls. Some were ordered to leave the building within 30 minutes. Others were told they would be formally fired by emails, which never arrived. The Small Business Administration listed a paralegal phone number for laid-off employees to appeal the termination, but the number was an automated line for an apartment building. Now that is funny. Oh, man. And there's much more to come, Axios writes. Musk told the world governments at some summit in Dubai via teleconference that the U.S. needs to delete entire agencies, many of them. Oh, it's coming, and the left doesn't like this. There's a lot of squealing in fear, which Axios actually talks about. The climate of fear hit the Kennedy Center as Trump was installed as the chair, succeeding David Rubenstein, and some upcoming shows vanished from the lineup. Oh, shock and horror. And NATO is reeling, mostly because we are NATO. The rest of the countries just hang on to our coattails. The world's biggest military alliance is in disarray amid new questions about America's commitment, because we are NATO, to European security after remarks this week by Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Trump's whirlwind now blows through Europe, the New York Times' David Sanger wrote, pointing to Trump's tariff statements on Ukraine by Trump and Hegseth and Vice President Vance's America's first AI speech in Paris. The bottom line, Axios writes, look for the maximalist Trump to accelerate as more of his confirmed officials ramp up. My friends, America is changing. Corruption is being purged at every turn. And yes, there will be roadblocks, for now, primarily on the judicial side of the playing field. But in truth, even these judge activists' attempts at stalling Trump is really just that. It's just a stall tactic. The courts are failing miserably to stop Trump's momentum, and in return, they are taking serious damage in the court of public opinions themselves. A cost, by the way, that in the end will likely prove too high for the courts. And for the left, activist judges have always been a problem since as long as I can remember. However, up until now, the majority of the public were blissfully unaware of these wacko judges implementing their own agenda instead of what the Constitution dictates. But now, with the courts acting as the only real line of defense, well, guess what? The entire country is looking at them. The spotlight is shining down brightly upon these judges. And as the bright lights of the public eye views them, well, they all can see this corruption on full display. I believe that if this keeps up and Trump's approval rating moves past 53% and continues to rise, expect to see a large public outcry to deal with corruption within the justice system itself. This will put these activist judges in danger, and the left's carefully crafted resistance system could crumble. And if the Democrat Party loses the courts, their final bastion of defense, they might very well be finished as the leading opposition party. So, the Democrat Party, all these leftists must ask themselves, is this battle that they are fighting right now in the judicial system something that they want to continue to wage? Especially knowing that the battle is already lost. It's just a stall tactic because the Supreme Court, my friends, is firmly in the corner of the Constitution thanks to its 6-3 Republican to Democrat installed justices. Change is coming, my friends. And as America changes, so too will the rest of the modern world. The eyes of Europe, The UK and beyond are fixated on what is happening in the US, and the corrupt in power in these other countries are taking notice. The will of the people cannot be contained forever.